So moving on, we're going to do a more complex clip. We're going to do a roller of a car. Might seem harder since the car is moving and it's not just a static location. So we'll do the same thing. We'll pre-compose, move all attributes, and it's already cut up and ready to go. So let's just get right into it and let's track this camera. So for this one, I kind of want to incorporate trap code effects and Element 3D together. So maybe we'll do some text moving with the camera as the car passes by and some particles as the car is driving. So now that we have this clip tracked, let's see what it came up with. And it did a great job. So it did track the environment. Usually sometimes when you do this, if the car's too close, it'll track only the car and you don't really want that. You want text going through the footage. So if it does track the car for you, what you can do is mask out the car and subtract it, and then it'll track everything else besides the car. Since it did this pretty well, let's go ahead and add some key points. So first, let's add a point here. I want to add one against this wall line. So we'll find a good, probably right there. Let's create text and camera. So now we have one set of text there. Let's also add another set of text over here, maybe on the left side. So right click, add create text. And let's add one right around here for the particle. So we'll just do a solid. So we got text here, text there, and we can do our 3D now. So for this first text, let's add AMG. So what you could do is element 3D and do the same methods as before, or you can just go ahead and keep it as is. You can press R for orientation since it's a 3D layer, and you can rotate this if you don't want it to be blended into the side of the wall. So we could do something like this, where it says AMG. We can drag this out, rotate it a little bit more, maybe reduce the scale. So you have AMG there. You can duplicate this quickly by pressing Ctrl D. We can press P and move the position even closer to us so we can have something else. AMG, AMG. So we can put something like AMG 3D. And then you have some nice text going along the car there. And if you want to even get this closer to the car, you can move it down a bit. And we have one right there. And then you'll notice that the AMG you want behind the car. So all you have to do is rotor brush the car out. So we'll go ahead and do that now. We'll drag that to the top layer. We'll delete the camera tracker, click rotor brush, double click this layer, and rotor brush the car. It doesn't need to be perfect since we'll add some motion blur to really key out any of the elements. Reduce chatter and let it render out before we freeze it. It'll take a second since there's like 400 frames in this. Cool, now that that mask is done, now you can see all the text will go behind the car now. Just to clean up the edges, we'll change the feather just a little bit. You can rename this layer to mask. So if you don't want just text, we can open up Element 3D by creating a new solid, opening up element, putting it on that solid, under the mask, custom layers, and we'll go to AMG, scene setup. Now to extrude it, click extrude. We will increase the bevel on this, bring it above the line, and let's add in Chrome. Don't forget, we do need to create the reference frame. Hide that. Go back into custom texture maps, reference frame, scene setup, environment, reference frame. Perfect. So now we have our 3D AMG. So it did place it there. You will have to replace it since it won't take the 3D position from the text layer. So I'm gonna reduce the scale, move it back in the Z. Right around there is good. Maybe bring it a little closer so we have it pop in. We'll get a little rotation in here. Like it's facing upwards a little more, right around there. So as you want to show you one more thing called lighting, where you can create a layer, new light, and you can actually have a light show. So if the sun is on the left side, you can just move the light over there, change the point of interest, and rotate this just a little bit so you get some depth of the light. So you can see the light switches. So we'll have it right around there. Just little details like this can add some depth to your video. Let me increase the quality so you can see. So this is with the light, this is without, without. It just helps it blend a little bit more, give it some more depth, and you'll see that the spotlight actually tracks with it. And if you want to make sure that spotlight stays to that black solid, since we did change the position to 1560, you can just copy that to the point of interest. and then adjust the position itself to around 0, and you have the light effect showing. For different compositions, you will have to go more in depth into this light, but for what we're doing, it does more than enough. So now that we have AMG in there, and you can still see it's still in the background, even though the car's way past it. So we have AMG, and now let's add in another solid, and we're gonna add in form. And it already tracked basically to where we need it. You can go to disperse the particles a lot. We can increase the particle size random. Now you have the particles flying in the car. We can change the size of X, Y, and Z just so it's bigger. Raise this up so it's not going to the floor. Particle, increase the size again. Maybe reduce how many particles we do have. And since it's not perfectly moving with the car, we can just keyframe position, go towards the end, and just move this more back. Make sure you do go to rendering or visibility and increase the far vanish. We're going to go down to transform and change the Y offset as well, move it up more, and change the scale. And we'll put this above our mask just so we can have particles above the car. And we'll keyframe disperse, go to the end, and we'll have it disperse a little more. Just keep dialing this in until you get the look you want. So if we wanted to add more things to this, we can create another solid and add element. Go to our scene setup. And you can add other things into here if you want. Like a pole, you can add this light pole, which is a default thing. So for me, since I did purchase the premium pack or whatever from Video Copilot, I do have all these jets and stuff. So let's add in a jet. Press OK. We're going to add the custom layer, even though it won't matter as much for this clip since the jet is pretty dark. There's not much reflection, but we're still going to add it. Now you can see the jet is right there. So let's animate this jet flying in. I want it to come from the back to the front and fly past us. So to do that, we're going to go to World Transform. We're going to go Position Z, Scale, and Position, X and Y. So it does start right here. So we're going to make sure we save that keyframe of the Z coordinate where it's originally in the middle. And we want it to start pretty far in the background. So we'll keep moving that. We'll change the render settings, camera cutoff, and increase the far plane. So we'll put it even further back. We'll raise it up into the sky. So we'll have it go there. Move it to the right. It'll fly right past us. And we'll keep coming forward. So there is a turn right here, so we might have to adjust this slightly. And we'll have it turn out and go past us right there. So now that we have the position done on the jet, let's actually make it look real, and we'll do some rotation into it. So we're going to go up to group 1, we're going to go to particle rotation, and just keyframe all 3 of the rotation values. So at the beginning, we want it to come around the mountain, just these keyframes. So first, we're going to need it to be rotated, where it's like this, flying that way. And as it comes around here, we'll rotate it back. So like this. As it comes closer to us, we're gonna have it tilt as if it's flying around a corner. And then right at the end, we'll have it peak and flip up. As if it's flying away, we'll drag these to the end. There it is. So to smoothen these out, we're going to select these keyframes of the rotation, and we're going to right click, easy ease these, go to our graph editor, switch this to speed graph, and let's smoothen these out. So to smoothen these out, you can just bring them in towards the center. What you're really looking for is this smooth transition right here. The smoother you can get that, the better the rotation will be. If this isn't a smooth transition to the next keyframe, then you'll notice the rough turn. So there we go. This is still a little rough right here. So maybe, I think it's the green one. We'll adjust this. Perfect, then it turns right here. Adjust this. And it flies past. We'll also enable motion blur, and we'll put this under everything. And you'll notice too, with your light, you can get that light reflection on the jet itself. So we'll create another light, and we're gonna have this one pretty wide. We'll move it back, and we'll have it focused the undercarriage. And let's see how fast this jet's going, because you do want to make sure it looks like it's actually going fast enough. So another trick you can do is go down to the size of the object. So what we're going to do is click on our jet. We're going to go down to world scale, which we haven't adjusted yet. And as it gets closer to us, we're going to increase the scale and put that towards the end. So it'll basically be smaller, and as it comes closer, it increases. So what we're going to do is go to our jet, and let's just time this and change the time stretch to 50. And let's see if that looks better. We got a little nice animation of a jet flying through. Let's color grade this and start to blend things in. So the next thing we can do too is make sure we do our depth of field. We can turn that on the camera, and we'll blur out. We'll have our focus distance not too far, but we'll set some type of blur. So when that AMG passes, it will blur out. Keep in mind, this does take some time to really dial in. So just take your time, change the focus distance, the aperture, and the blur level. So the AMG will blur out as we pass it. Let's add some camera wobble. We'll add this overall shake in. And we're just gonna change the frequency to 2 and increase the amplitude just a little bit. We're gonna move into our other pre-comp. If you don't have this, just go to the main comp and pre-compose again. And then once you do that, you'll get a blank canvas like this. So I'm gonna start with the scale in. I'm gonna have it end back at its original scale. I'm gonna add an adjustment layer. I'm gonna add some RSMB motion blur into here. Decrease this, put this to about 0.4. Also want to add in a jet sound. I do have jet sounds from the Video Copilot pack itself. So unfortunately I cannot provide this since this is paid. One detail I do want to change is this particle. It needs to be behind the 3D text itself. So let's grab our particles and we'll put that under the Element 3D text. Cool. Now we have this nice little action shot right here. And that's how you create a 3D text on a roller with a jet flying by. You can always incorporate this to anything you want. Possibilities are really endless with Element 3D. It's just about how much time and effort you really put into each frame. So I'm gonna get my second clip ready. We'll do the same method, pre-compose and move all attributes. We'll do this 3 times. For this one, I'm not gonna use stabilize motion. I'm just gonna do warp stabilizer. And then the next composition, we'll do track camera. Now that this is stabilized, so now we're gonna go into track camera now that it's stabilized. While this tracks, we can just make our solid, add element to it, and we can go in the scene setup and start adjusting things. So when you download Element 3D, you'll notice that there is a default starter pack right here. So you have some things like an alarm clock, floor fracture, which is how you get the cracks and fractures and all that. So I will show this real quick. So what I want to do is have a soft fracture. So I'm going to go down to scale and we're going to flatten this. We'll extend this out. I do have pro shaders from Video Copilot. You do have to pay for this, but if you don't want to pay for it, you can look up textures. And let me show you. So if I wanted to use a ground texture, you'll see right here that it changes the diffuse, glossiness, and normal bump. If you don't see this, you have to click on your texture. So what you can do is just Google a texture you want in high quality, and you can drag it straight from your files onto these textures right here. And you can see you can adjust them as you want. But if you don't have this, you can just go to physical, choose one of these, and then add diffuse textures, glossiness textures, whatever you want. For this one, I'm gonna use glass. So glass is more of a see-through. It gives more of the see-through effect. We do want to make sure we have the reference frame. So I'm just going to hide the warning banner real quick. We'll go back to content aware fill, create reference frame, hide the reference frame. Let's connect that custom layer to the texture maps reference frame. You can also rename this if you're working with multiple environments or clips. So we'll connect it to environment, scene setup, go to environment, and click our reference frame. So there you go. Our tracker should be done. There we go. We'll select the car. If you don't want to select a point, you can always just press create camera. I just like to select a point. I can easily connect those access points to my Element 3D. We're just going to go create solid and camera again. We have our solid. We're going to hide it. You'll notice you don't need to click the 3D since Element 3D already knows that it's going to be a 3D layer. So let's see where our floor fracture is. It's right there. You can't see it well because it's flat. So we'll go back to World Transform. Open that solid position by pressing P. We're going to copy that Z position onto our world position Z. Increase the scale. We'll rotate this so you can see what we're looking at. So there it is. We have our floor fracture. Just keep rotating this. We can go back to scene setup and extend this a little longer. Click on our floor fracture. Extend this. Change the scale. Rotate this. So to do the shatter, just like our text, we're going to go to group 1, particle look. We're going to go down to multi-object again because we do want this to transform into multi-object. And what we're going to use mostly is either scatter or displace. So you can do displace or scatter. So you can see we have options like X displace, Y displace, and Z displace. Or you can just do scatter everything. So mess around with all these and see which one you like the most. For this one, I'm going to use X displace. So I'm going to keyframe X displace, go towards the middle of our clip, and I'll move this out. I'm also going to keyframe rotation random for the whole clip. So we'll keyframe 0 at the beginning, and we'll have this do around 4 or 5 evolutions throughout the clip. It's continuously rotating throughout the clip. We're also going to change size to size random to 100. So we get a lot of different sizes. And I'm actually not going to cover the car. I don't really like it. So I'm just going to unkeyframe the displace. Keep it like this. I'm going to go back to scene setup. And I'm going to set all these values back to 100 or equal. We'll lock that. So we get more of a shattered glass look. Next thing I'm going to do is bring this up a little more. Go back to group 1. And I want this to come more into the Z axis. So closer to us and further from us. So sometimes Z displace doesn't work since we rotated. So if you notice, we rotated in World Transform. So the Z is a little bit different. So you can either adjust that or just pick a different value, such as X displace, Y displace, Z displace. So we'll pick Y since now we're rotated on the Y. And I'm going to keyframe Y displace throughout the whole clip. So I have this moving towards us and away from us. I want this to start a little bit tighter and then have it explode out more. So the next thing we're going to do is our depth of field. So as I said before, you have render settings. This is connected to your camera right here. So first go to your camera cutoff. We'll make sure this is extended all the way so we don't get any clipping. Then we're going to go to depth of field and make sure this is set to comp settings. So now you're going to go to your tracker. You're going to open up the arrow, go to camera options and turn on depth of field. So now if we increase the quality, you'll notice that you can get some blurry effects. So focus distance, our main focus distance is right here. So we'll copy this and put this onto the focus distance. When you increase the blur level, the blur will go up. Aperture, we can mess with as well, maybe around 34. And we'll go more into our timeline. You'll see this is too in focus for us. So I'm going to increase the blur level. So we'll get some of these closer objects blurry. You notice this one's blurred out. This one's in focus. Some of these little particles above the car are in focus. It's just minor details like this that really add up to your composition. So now we have this scatter effect with the floor fracture good to go. Make sure you save this. And we're going to color grade this. We'll just do a quick little color grade. We'll do something crazy, like this galaxy LED I have. Change the color to orange, why not? And let's just adjust some of the exposures, some of the white balance. And we're going to copy this to our Element 3D layer. And we're going to adjust this as needed. Probably reduce the saturation a bit. Highlights. Increase the shadows. So now we have a nice little blend with our scatter. Let's go back to our main comp. We'll add in the speed ramp to this. And let's see what we got. Looks pretty sick to me. One more detail we can do is add the motion blur. So while these rotate, there'll be a slight motion blur. You can also use RSMB or pixel motion, whatever you want. But motion blur built in looks pretty good. You can see these little blur pixels. And that rotation throughout the clip really does come in handy because you can see all these rotating as it spins, as it explodes. You could just keep adjusting things, maybe bring this up to 7 rotations to the end, so to rotate a little bit faster. And that looks good for Element 3D. So let's move on and let me show you how to import your own 3D objects.